This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed. Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Tune in to see if you're on target. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio, giving veterans a voice.
Welcome to Tracer Rounds. I'm your host, Terry, and in the studio tonight with me is Big Joe Muse of Big Joe and the Late Show. But he's also an Army veteran. And he was my very, very first guest on the podcast back in May of last year in 2024 when I got started. And we had a heck of a time because my technology was not great. And so it was like we were each overseas and there was a big time delay. So tonight I'm giving Joe the proper credit he's due with good audio and good visuals so that everybody can hear him talk. And see him and then hear his music. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate being back again.
It's great to have you back. So for the guests that weren't on the first show, can you kind of just tell us about your service? Because you are an Army veteran, and I just kind of want to hear about how long you were in the service, what your job specialty was, maybe some of the highlights of your career.
Okay. I went into service in 1989, as you know, because you were there for PLDCs, where I met you, Primary Leadership Development. We went through MAP courses. We went through all of that basic stuff, squad leadership, land navigation, all that. Went through that after basic training, went to basic training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Fort Lost in the Woods is what we called it. And I trained there, and then I went on to Denver, Colorado to my specialty, which was an Army illustrator. So I took some illustrating training and charts, graphs, and overlays and computer graphics in that course in Denver, in Aurora, Colorado. And then whenever I left there, I was stationed in several different places in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I had my unit out there. Went to it was in the 95th Division, so in training. We went to Shawnee. I spent a little time in Enid and doing all that stuff. So it was a great unit. It was a great time. I really enjoyed my time. They asked me in Stillwater, okay, you're an illustrator, but guess what? The unit's changing. The Army's changing. Do you want to put on the round brown? And I was like, yeah, sure. So went down to Fort Sill, trained to be a drill sergeant. So I was a drill sergeant in the Army Reserves for going on 12 years. So wow. It was a good time. Toughest job I ever loved.
I can't imagine being a drill sergeant, honestly, because you're herding cats.
Hmm.
I mean, you really are. And you're training young soldiers who, a lot of them don't have any life experience at all. So you're their first experience to adulthood. And so
Yes.
you have to mold and shape those young minds. And that's a big ticket to punch, honestly,
Hmm.
I think.
Hmm.
What's your biggest story from basic training when you were a drill sergeant?
Oh my goodness, there's so many good ones. From basic training or from training in basic training?
Well, either one. Either one.
Uh, oh man. So there's two that I can think of right off the bat. Um, One is I got to be in the trench with a private as we were doing live grenade training.
Oh,
So we had a training class, and you're in there with an amateur as he pulls the pin and hopefully throws the grenade. So this one, the private, he hesitated just a little bit, and if he hesitates too long, we take over. But luckily, he got it off. We ducked down, and that was a pretty good experience. Um, the other time, oh my goodness, there's so many good ones in there. What can I tell about? Oh, there was one time where I went in and I did 3 different phases within 2 weeks. So I started off in initial training when they first get them off the cattle truck, and I was there for a couple of days with them doing that. Then they took me away to bivouac where we were marching. We did the 12-mile march and we did all this and that. And then after that, they took me out of that unit and we went to BRM, basic rifleman's marksmanship. And so I got an award for that because I worked, just a couple of days in every single cycle. And it was rough. It was rough. And I think I did CQ in there sometime also, where
oh
you have
my
to stay
goodness.
up all night and watch barracks. It was crazy. So, yeah, some good times in there.
Was anybody really like afraid of you? Because I don't know if everybody knows how tall you are. And then with the hat, it's very imposing with the hat, first of all. And then with your height, it's a little bit even more scary, I think.
Hmm. Um, that's kind of the thing because I'm really a nice guy. Everybody knows that. Just don't make me mad. It takes a lot to get me mad. So what I had to do was for the first few days when I'm walking around with them, I didn't say a word. I just put on my hat. I just walked around and just stared at them. And they saw my size, and they were shaking in the boots. But after a while, they got to know me. They knew that I was more of a teacher and more of a trainer. So I was able to motivate them a lot more. And you just have to think of it like being a parent. You're more, because all of them are, in their late teens,
Yeah.
and early 20s. And they are just learning how to shower on a regular basis. They are just learning how to write checks, and this is the first time away from mom and dad, most of them.
Yeah.
So you just got to give them the basics, about life and teach them about responsibility. But it's not like herding cats. It's more like herding trained dogs, because cats don't listen to you at all.
That's
These
true.
guys have to listen, or
They
we
do.
take money from them or whatever. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. So tell our guests how tall you are.
I'm 6'6". After a couple of knee surgeries, probably 6'5".
Still big and imposing. So yeah,
Yeah, I look down on most people, at least physically.
right, exactly. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
you are a nice guy. I'll have to agree with that. So what was your biggest takeaway, I think, from your time in the service? What would you say was your biggest aha? And then what have you taken and you've carried on into your civilian life?
You know what? The biggest takeaway is personal responsibility. That's the number one thing, is you learn how to handle your own bills, and you learn that you are capable of much more than what you think you are. Once you're put under pressure, once you're tested, you think, oh, I can't. And then you go all the way through this and you're like, well, I guess I did. Well, what else am I capable of? There's a
Right.
nice little saying that says everything that you want is on the other side of pain, you know, or, you push through that difficulty.
Right.
Um, And I think that everybody should go through a little bit of military experience at one point or another, because it just kind of teaches you the basics of life. It teaches you, and then the other thing that I really love about the military service is its diversity. You have to drop all prejudice and you judge everybody on their own personal merits. They can be Black, white, Asian, Latino. You learn that there's people of excellence in whatever color you come across. So we're all on equal footing, and you're just soldiers, and everybody's shoulder to shoulder, and we have the same goal. So that closeness. That's why you see anybody in the military, you know about this. You speak just a little bit about your unit, about where you came from, and that's an instant bond, and you can make a lifetime friend just in a few minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think, you were talking about personal responsibility and things like that, but I also think it breeds patriotism in people too, to really serve underneath the flag. And then you really have a vested interest in seeing the common good for the country and for yourself and your fellow man.
That's right.
I think not enough people really see the other side of the coin and don't really have that depth of understanding what it means, selfless service.
Yes, there's a lot of disrespect going around for the country right now. They don't realize, or for the military especially, they don't realize that we are willing to give up our lives, just for the sake of the cause, and then being obedient to whatever our country asks of us at the time. And we all want to be heroes, but we want to make the other guy be the hero, die for his country, not us. But but
Right.
just knowing that everybody's willing to make that ultimate sacrifice deserves a lot of respect.
It does. And you're like you talked about, you always have a bond with someone. I mean, like we met a long, long time ago, but
Hmm.
distance and time don't matter. Like
Yep.
we can pick up
Still,
just like it was yesterday,
that's right.
because that's the way that the service works. That's the mindset. That's just the commonality we have, that we can just pick up and start talking again. Like there was
That's it.
never any distance or any time and space between.
And you share a lot of common stories in a short amount of time. You go through some extreme experiences, and that gives you that combat bond, that brotherhood, that most people don't see in their lives, because it may have been simulated life or death, but it was still tough challenges, that you come through together. So it's nice.
I think so too. I wanted to ask you, we're going to play a song of yours here in like about 3 minutes, but I wanted to ask you, what does an illustrator do in the Army?
Okay, good question. Anything that requires a physical graphical representation, like I said, charts and overlays in a combat format. We are there to help draw the maps of the terrain if you have to do something like on the spot, which, it's an outdated MOS. I think they discontinued it a long time ago. But sometimes you're back at the unit and you're doing all these charts and these graphs and overlays. Sometimes you're out in the field and just helping everybody understand what's going on, graphically. We even got into computer graphics so that we can help communicate. We're part of the Signal Corps, which Signal Corps is all about communications. So whatever was required. Now, whenever I was in my unit, they had to find some fun things for me to do because we weren't always outside, running in the trenches. So I did the company newsletter. I did the chaplain's newsletter. Any kind of signs or posters that we had to do. I did all of that kind of stuff until I transitioned into being a drill sergeant. So it was, there's my greatest achievement is we did 2 weeks. I did a 2 week stint down in Texas. And there was a general, a lieutenant colonel that was retiring. And I made him a portrait, and I did a color pencil portrait of him. And then I even went down and had it framed and put glass on it and everything. And they had this big ceremony and they presented it to him. So I got a little RCAM for that. That was nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have a picture of it somewhere, but
That's super cool. So Did you do any like psyop type literature, like stuff that would be dropped from planes, like trying to win hearts and minds? Was there any of that?
No, that's mainly in the movies.
Darn it.
I think anything else like that, you can just have printed up, on computer or whatnot. But that would be a lot of fun. I'd like to.
Because, like the comic books for kids where you're trying to win their hearts and minds and things like that with illustrations. I was just curious if you did any of that as part of
that,
like a wartime mission or
I'm
maybe
sure,
a peacekeeping mission, maybe.
I'm sure there was an illustrator or two in the past that's had to do something like that. But, I never got the pleasure of doing that. Not at least in my reserve unit.
Sounds like you got to do some other fun things though.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anytime I'm working with, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to go into the illustration to help me transition into the civilian world doing some type of graphics. But it turns out most people in the arts and graphics world are self-employed. So if you're kind of pursuing that field, you start your own company, and your worth is in your talent. It's in what you can produce for people, whether it's doing logos and marketing, mainly marketing materials and stuff like that.
Okay. So it's time for a break. And so as I told you, Big Joe Muse is a singer and he's great. And I love his music. And so we're going to play Date Yourself. I think I'm supposed to say yourself.
Yourself.
But we're going to play this song and then we'll be right back. And so this is Big Joe Muse.
Date yourself. Date yourself. Stop swiping right, get yourself right. It's exactly what you do. Be a stream, not a trickle, it down, not a nickel, and they will come to you. Date yourself. Yeah. Date yourself. Yeah. Code a phrase, you're in Nicholas, and you're trying to find a dime. It don't make no sense how you spend your time. But safe and change your values, put your heart up on the chill. Rewind and find your mind this time. Drop it and date yourself. Date yourself. Date yourself. Date yourself. Date yourself. Yeah. Keep trying to keep lying about who you are and what you've done. If you don't tell the truth about you, then you'll never find the one. Date yourself. Yeah. Make a break from the dating scene. Get free, get loose. The only one you need to chase is you. Those days are through when you used to do the things that you used to do. You know that it's true. You're the sweetest fruit. So see the truth, brother. When you love yourself, you don't need another lover. Get out, work out, eat out with your friends. Cause time working on yourself, it's time well spent. It's like you threw yourself into the pig pen last time. But don't throw your pearls before swine. Date yourself. Yeah. Date yourself. Ooh. Date yourself. Yeah. Date yourself. Ooh. Stop swiping right. Get yourself right. It's exactly what you do. Be a stream, not a trickle, it down, not a nickel, and they will come to you. Date yourself. Hey, yeah. Date yourself. Yeah.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and I do have my guest Big Joe in the studio, and you just heard his song "Date Yourself." And
good job with the yo.
thank you. I'm trying real hard. So tell me a little bit about that song. I mean, I understand, you know, how it looks, you know, on appearances. You know, you see one thing online and then it looks totally another way when you meet the person. Well, sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times. So how did you decide to come up with that song, and how did you put it together, and how quickly? And then how did you come up with a video for it?
Oh my goodness. So I was at work, and it seemed like I always end up talking to this one young man all the time. And it just seemed like he was always asking me relationship questions and always trying to figure out what was going on and should I talk to her and what does this mean, and you know, what about this girl and that girl and all this and that. And you know, I had this, and he's also kind of an aspiring rapper, you know, so I wrote this song with him in mind, you know, with a culmination of all the advice that I had given him, and I wanted him to do the rap portion of it. So I told him, I said, I have this song, you know, and he flaked out on me on doing the rap. He said he had it ready, but then he quit the job before I was able to finish writing it. So I just said, well, I'll just write it myself. So I took and I wrote that rap portion, and then sat on that song for just a little bit until I got some extra money, and I went down to Drap Studios in Tulsa with my friend Louis Drap, and we recorded that song and layered it with all the video and all the voices and all that. I did all the background vocals and whatnot and the arrangement on the song. And then that fall, after I did it, I came across co-worker's cousin. He said he does videography as Michael. So he came up with the concept of, you know, hey, we're going to put you in all these different scenes. You're going to get some friends, you know, to be involved in. He says, I'm really excited about the project. And I think it's going to be great. So part of it's done at my house. Part of it's at Cimarron Lodge in Tulsa. Part of it's down at Lenny's. You know, we just did various bars around town. And one of my best friends there that threw the drink in my face, that's my friend, Kat. So ironically enough, she's like 4 foot nothing, 5'2" or something like that. So she's tiny. The good thing, the high chairs, you know, kind of make it look a little better. Yeah. But all the rest of the people were like friends of the videographer, and it was such a blast. We had, whenever the lady was on there crying, right after we called cut, we all just rolled laughing because we're like, you were so good, you need to be in Hollywood. She had the tears and everything. She was pulling up some real trauma, I think.
Oh wow,
that video. But yeah, that was
she was digging deep.
I love doing that. So it took about, we kept trying to get hooked up. So it took probably about 3 or 4 months to finish the video. We filmed it in about 4 or 5 different settings, different days. And then he took time to edit it and all that. But trying to get together was the tough part. And but I really like how it turned out. If you're really careful and you rewind through there, you can see a couple of typos in the in the text.
I didn't notice that, but I did see the Cowboys playing.
Oh yeah, the Cowboys playing. So yeah, if you can look that up, that video up on YouTube, and type down in the comments that you spotted the typos in there. So look it up.
I'll have to do that. So I think that one of the funniest parts of the video for me is when you're mouthing the word help, help, help. I love that.
Yeah, help.
Yeah. Like, from this person, save me from myself, because I volunteered to go date this person or to have the first date.
Yeah, but the whole message is, you know, don't try to keep jumping out there. Take a little time, get to know yourself, get a little confident, and then whenever you're not looking, then the right thing, the right love is just going to smack you right in the face. And it's the most glorious thing ever whenever it just happens naturally and you're not forcing it, and you're not, putting yourself in a bad situation or ignoring red flags or any of that. The right thing will come once you get yourself together and you spend a little time working on yourself. You'll be more attractive to the right person as well. You'll learn some new skills. You'll be getting out doing things that you like to do. And who knows? Maybe something that you love to do, they'll love to do, instead of just either forcing it or swiping.
Right? That's really good advice. Maybe you ought to write a column.
Maybe I ought to get my own podcast. No.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should. No, I mean, that really is good advice. I mean, really, forcing the issue and just, try so hard looking online or just, trying really hard to try to find someone. You usually don't find the right person. I mean, yes, does that work? Yes, it does. But is it a lasting relationship? Maybe not. I mean, maybe it is, but like you said, if you spend time on yourself and you work on making yourself happy and good and fulfilled, just being you, that you are more attractive to somebody else. And I agree with you 100%. I think that's
Stop
very
swiping
sage.
right.
Yes.
Get yourself right. It's exactly what you do. Be a stream, not a trickle, a dime, not a nickel, and they will come to you.
Exactly. See, there's sage advice in that song. So it's good we played it so that somebody else can learn and benefit from your thoughts on the topic of making sure that you invest in yourself first, and then you can invest in others. Because if you don't invest in yourself, you don't have anything to give to anybody else, I don't think.
Yes, exactly. Everything that I put out, I try to make it helpful or uplifting, or at least, I don't want to tear anybody down. I don't want to cut. I always want it to have a good solution at the end, or that's why it's very hard for me. I write very carefully the songs that I do, and I want it to be a good message. I want it to be something positive for the world. So
yeah. How many songs would you say you've written?
I've written way more than I put out. I have a little notebook in my folder, and there is probably 3 albums worth of songs in development.
Wow.
And that's kind of how you have to do it. And then once the time comes, you get the right musicians, you get everybody together, you can flesh out the songs. There's a couple in the hopper I'm really excited about. There's a really well-written lounge tune that my daughter has helped me pen. She did a whole verse to it. She looked at what I wrote and then she followed along. It's kind of a flirtation song about an unspoken relationship that nobody knows but you two. You're kind of looking at each other across the room and all that. It's going to be a really good one. So
like me and Mrs. Jones.
Kind of. Well, that one's a secret relationship, so that one's different. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to come. I can't wait to put pen to it.
Does your daughter sing too?
She sings, but she doesn't consider herself a singer. She sang in the school play and all that, but it's not one of her main pursuits. She teaches special ed. She lives on the East Coast up in Connecticut. So she really likes it. And she's brilliant,
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice when you can say that about your kids, isn't it?
I love it. They're not in any trouble. I'm not an early grandpa, so I mean, I am a grandpa, but that's my son. He's old enough. He's in a stable relationship. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. I love that.
And if that does happen, oh, well, love them and move on. Because guess what? It happens to everybody.
It does. Yeah, no, I agree with that. You have to love your kids who and what they are, and the mistakes they make and everything else. Some of them are hard to, like it hurts your heart, but at the same time, they're still your kids and you still got to, love them regardless.
And you never know, that could build the character that they need. That could be the wake up call,
Right.
Good. You have another song coming up too, don't you? Maybe I can.
Yeah, I do.
Whenever you're getting ready to do that, I can prep you and tell you what it's about.
So we're going to play Love on the Floor. So you want to tell us about it first? Because that's the one you wanted to play, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this song, we play around Tulsa area, and been playing around here for about 8 years. And recently we got opportunity to go up to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and we're now playing at about 4 different places up there. We're going to be up there for the Blues Fest this year. It's going to be really awesome. But there's a place we played called Legends, and anytime we did that Stapleton song, Tennessee Whiskey, filled up the dance floor. Everybody loved it. So I woke up one morning with this song almost fully formed. It was in my head and it woke me up, and I wrote it down immediately. And I wanted to make sure that it had that kind of effect to get people together. It's a little bit suggestive, but that's only for the adults in the room. But it's very dear to my heart. I really like this song, and it's just made for couples, you know, to get out on the dance floor and just enjoy the night. You know, that was my idea.
Well, it's a great song, and so we're going to play it now, and then maybe we can follow it up with some additional comments on it after we see it.
Cool.
So we're going to play Love on the Floor, Big Joe Muse.
You bring my whiskey, I'll bring your wine. Just hold my body, we'll sway in time. I'll bring the spirit, you drink a bowl. We're gonna get some love on the floor. Ooh, you and me together. I can't speak what good is talking for. Ooh, I can't dance anymore.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and you just heard Big Joe Muse, and you heard Love on the Floor. And so we were talking about that you wrote that, like the words came to you overnight, like, and you just had to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah,
that
it was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, geez.
And the tune was in my head, and and I was kind of singing through it, especially that high note, I thought. And so I just reached over on the nightstand and then started writing it down, because you have to capture those whenever you can get them. Anytime you get inspiration like that, because you try to wait and come back to it, it's always different and it's never the same impact. So you really do have to make sure you capture the moment.
Yeah, I can imagine. So do you craft words first, or do you hear a tune, or is it both?
It's a little bit of both. It's first the inspiration, like what mood do I want? Is this going to be a slower song or a fast song? And then what is the idea? There's usually an idea with a twist or with some kind of angle that maybe nobody else has done before, at least in my mind. So, and then from there, usually the chorus kind of comes first, and then the verses are easy. All they're leading up, and then they're taking you down from that main thought. So that's usually whatever I do when I'm writing a song.
I just can't. I mean, like, I just wish I had a creative bone in my body. I do not.
Yeah, well, it really is like 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration, because that inspiration is just the challenge, and then fleshing it out is the hard part, and then you got to refine it and work it out with other people, and if it's not your vision, you got to go, no, I don't want this chord, I want that chord. And I don't have enough formal musical training, so I'm usually like, no, try this chord, nope, try that chord, nope, something more like that's it right there, and then we just work through the whole song. So that particular video was very interesting because it had that handheld feel to it. We recorded that at Teagarden Studios in Tulsa. David Teagarden is an icon in the Tulsa music scene. Back in the 70s, he had a group, Teagarden and Van Winkle. And he also was one of the Swampers, down in Muscle Shoals, like that song, Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh.
The Muscle Shoals, they had the Swampers. He was one of the Swampers that recorded those albums. So, yeah. And you can see around the studio, they showed some of the pictures of him with Eric Clapton, with, all of these famous people. And it's just an honor to work with him and his son. He suffered a tragedy recently. He lost his son that was a drummer. But they're still going strong. And he's a really great guy. So.
Sounds like you've met and hung out with a lot of really interesting people. Who would you say is like your biggest, like, wow, I got to meet him, or I got to hang out with her, or who would you say that would be?
Initially, there's been so many, but back whenever the biggest influence I've had was I was at Mardell, and I lined up to meet Stephen Curtis Chapman. And whenever I got up to the front of the line, I said, I'm a singer. I said, I'm not going to sing here. I said, well, what kind of advice would you give me? And what he said stuck with me. He said, sing every chance you get, everywhere you can. And that kind of helped get me to where I am today. I'm no superstar or anything, but if I hadn't jumped at every opportunity, and I think that's a good lesson for anybody that wants to follow their dream and they feel like they're stuck and they're not getting anywhere. Take a step towards it, because there'll come a time where you look back and you're like, okay, I have a good track record. I have some things going on because I've done this, I've done that, and it adds up a lot faster than you think. And before you know it, you're a lot further down the road than you ever thought possible. So I think I see why he gave me that advice, you know.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, because it does, you have to take a step, because if you don't take a step, you're going nowhere. So even if it's a baby step, a small step, even if it's just opening the mail and looking at something and then actioning it. I mean, like
Mhm.
it's just taking the actions to do something to get you where you want to be, because if you don't move, you're not going anywhere.
That's right. It's another reason that military experience helps you face those fears, you know, and you know, it's not the end of the world, but also there's also a challenge behind the challenge. You know, you learn how to get over this hurdle. Well, there's a different hurdle on the other side of that. And then before you know it, you're looking back at the entire obstacle course and you're at the finish line. So
Right.
it's a good lesson.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's about persistence, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you got coming up? Let's talk about where you're going to be, what you're putting out next, or do you have a
Okay.
schedule on your Facebook? Where can we find out more information?
Yes, you can go to Big Joe and the Late Show Band on Facebook, and you can look us up there and kind of follow our activities. We try to keep that posted as possible. Um, we play currently at the Bull and Bear in Tulsa over at 67th and Lewis. And we also play a Whiskey Dog down in Broken Arrow, right around 101st and Aspen. Um, we play in Eureka Springs if you happen to be taking a weekend up there. We play at Legends. We're going to be there at the end of this month. We play at the New Orleans Hotel. We play at the Rowdy Beaver Den. And we just picked up a new show. We're going to be there in March. It's online. I forget the name of the place, but we are booking for this year, so we're adding shows constantly. Also, me and my guitar player, we're writing feverishly, and we are going to put out another music video this year. So we're excited about that. The one that did our Dead Man Walking video, Wallace Productions, is outstanding. And we did that entire video, believe it or not, in one day. It was amazing. I don't know how he did it.
I know, it's incredible.
So, yeah, we want to use him again and go through and make a beautiful video on a song. There's a couple of songs we're working on, Don't Want to Feel, and the one I told you about, the flirtation song. And I have a couple others in the hopper. It'll be a nice little surprise. I want to do a Christmas album sometime as well.
Oh,
So
that'd be great.
I've been wanting to do that for years, and I keep putting it on the back burner because by the time I get serious about it, well, now it's November and it's too late to put it out. So
Right.
this is about the right time of year to work on it, and I can't wait to get something like that out.
That sounds really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many weeks or days a month do you think you perform? And
Oof.
then, like, how many in a year do you think you do,
Oh my
performance
goodness.
wise?
We are active at least 3 weekends a month. And then sometimes we'll do a show like during the week on a Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday. So we've done up to 6 shows in 1 month, with a couple of them being back to back sometimes.
Wow.
But yeah, we stay pretty busy, about as busy as we want to be, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of travel involved in a lot of these. We're going 2.5 hours, one direction, to get to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, and then per year, I haven't really done the math, but there's, probably about 75 shows a year.
That's a lot.
It picks up during the holidays, New Year's Eve was a blast. There's a lot of places that they're nice enough they'll let us stay. They have hotels, so we can stay there. So that makes for a good time. It's almost like a little mini vacation every time we get to go do a show. And we're starting to gather some real loyal local fans too. So they're always fun to see. I'm like, oh, you're back. So yeah, it's nice.
That is cool. Um, so I was going to ask you, and now I think I lost my train of thought. But oh yeah, so what's your favorite venue? Do you say? Would you say that you like to play at, or what types of shows do you like to play the most? Because you do some cover songs, but you also do some originals. And
Mhm.
so I guess what is your favorite venue, and then what is your favorite like song genre to sing?
Okay. Um, Very good. My favorite venue, it doesn't happen very often, and you do have to plan it very far in advance. But I love to sing in the casinos. It's good money. It's a built-in audience, and they usually have their own sound system, so you can just walk right in, set up, boom, play a show, and it's usually a little bit shorter too, shorter of a show. It's really awesome playing for casino. And then you walk over and get your check, and you're out.
There
You
you
can cash
go.
your check at the same window you get it. It's a beautiful thing. Um, and then favorite genre, um, I love me some like 90s R&B, you know, and then Motown. There's some Motown. Anything with a lot of good feel to it.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy, and it seems like people respond to it very well too. But believe it or not, there's a couple of songs that are very challenging vocally in the rock category, because we do classic rock too.
Yeah.
So I try to put some. Everybody's kind of surprised at my range. I do a lot of high notes.
I
And
know. I was just going to mention that.
yeah. So
Yeah, you can get your voice pretty high. Like
mhm,
your range is very vast
mhm.
musically when you're performing, and because a couple of those high notes in those videos we watched, I was like, doggone, I don't think I could get my voice that high.
Yeah, if I was ever out of practice for 6 months or so, I have to stay. I have to keep my chops up. There's also something I do. I have my invisible harmonica that I love to play, and I love to watch people's faces whenever I play, and they're like, "Huh?" Like, where do you get that from, and where do you put it? I think I have it right here. Let me see.
That's
See,
funny.
can you see it? Visible
Sort
harmonica.
of, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. See?
That's awesome. I love that. That's pretty cool. So do you want to play one more song, or do you want to sing anything? It's up to you. We can play spinning, or you can sing something, or if you've got something else you want to talk about, we can certainly do that as well.
Oh my goodness, Spinning is such a great song.
It
I
is a
would
good song.
love to sing live though, but yeah, play that one.
Play it. All
And
right.
I might sing on the outro. How about
Okay. Sounds good to me.
that?
And we'll play it, and then we'll be right back. So we're going to hear Spinning by Big Joe.
Big hit.
Been a little crazy, and I haven't had much time. Crazier it gets, the more you are on my mind. Thought of you and the things you do got me spinning.
And welcome back to Tracer Rounds. And you're on MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice. And tonight's voice is to Big Joe Muse, who's an Army veteran. He's a musician, and he's a great singer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's an awesome song. I remember when we did the interview last time, you had said one of your biggest regrets was that you didn't do a video with that song.
Yes, and that may be one that we go ahead and re-record and do a video on, just like a montage of spinning and carousels and whatnot. But that song went international. There was a lot of people from other countries messaging me that they love that song and listen to it on repeat. So I'm really proud of what that song was able to do. It was written by my friend Ralph Bollinger, which is a wonderful writer. It's so effortless. We were in the studio one time, and Ralph, I needed another verse for a song that I was writing, and he was like, okay, and he just sat down, penciled it up, and it's one of the best verses in the whole song.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, he's so great.
Well, we've got probably about, say, 5 minutes, because it takes a little bit of time to play the exit video. So is there anything you want to tell us, anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, keep your eye on that Facebook page, and see where we're at. We'll try to keep it posted faithfully. And also, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Terry.
Me?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot so you can put me on the spot. What do you want to hear?
What do I want to hear?
Yeah, was it a certain song, or what's one of your favorite songs? I bet you I might know it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that start? My goodness. Of course I draw a blank whenever I'm trying to do it now.
Well, just sing me something that you want.
Well, no, that's a good one now. I'll start with the second verse.
Okay.
Whatever happened? Tuesday is so slow. Going down the old mine with a transistor radio. Standing in the sunlight laughing, hide behind a rainbow's wall. Slipping in a sliding hey, all along the waterfall with you. My brown-eyed girl, you're my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 cha? Oh, sha la 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 cha la ti da.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. This has been fun.
Yes, it's been a blast. I'm so glad you came back, because the first time I felt so bad because the audio was so bad and the video quality was poor, and it was like that was hotel Wi-Fi and a underperforming computer.
And that delay.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
We had to have a translator.
Yeah, so much better, so much more fun.
Definitely. Well, I have a mixer now and a mic, and I have a better computer. So.
And you've been at it for a long time. Every Tuesday?
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you. I'm very proud of you. And I want to tell our guests too that you work full time too, besides being an artist and a singer and doing all that traveling with the band. You work full time, so it's not like you're just resting on your laurels. You've got to go out and get it done day to day, and then on the weekend too.
I work at Mathis Brothers in Tulsa. Come in there and ask for me.
Yeah, you'll sell them something good. I always see you post good sales, and I was like, I was wishing I was closer.
That's awesome.
Well, we're going to have to go now because we're going to have to play our outro. So I want to thank you for being on the show tonight. And I want to thank you for all you give to the veteran community and to us on MBR for letting us play your songs.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best in your career. And I am looking forward to new music.
Yes. Keep an ear out for it. Bye.
Trace Around signing off.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.